Hello, my name is Matt Aswegan, known as Asweeg on Suno and in the AI Underground community. And this is a little bit about my story. Hopefully I'll keep it brief. I'm 38. I've been in and out of the music world my whole life, I guess to say. I'm a classically trained vocalist. Private, expensive lessons, both voice and piano. Had planned to go to college for vocal performance, and all intents and purposes, I was in the pipeline for that to be my career. I dropped out of high school my senior year because of sexual harassment from my music director. He was asked to resign, and there was this massive backlash against me. This is like long before the Me Too movement. You don't always get to chase your childhood dreams. Sometimes you just have to go out and live your life, and no exception. Life came at me fast, and I had to get moving and start surviving. Serving, bartending, working my way up in that hospitality industry. Never really going anywhere though. It's like half a lifetime later, I was in 2025 at rock bottom. I'd hit rock bottom. I was homeless on the streets in Minneapolis. I didn't know what a future looked like at all. I'd gotten to a point where things were just feeling small and finished. When you're homeless, time sort of collapses, right? You don't have the option to think about a future. You get through the day that you're in as best you can. Even being safe in a shelter, it still means like you still have an entire day to to get through, and there are so many uncontrollable variables when you don't have security, safety, and privacy. And when I found Suno, which was by chance through someone I met in the community who was a amateur producer DJ, and we were hanging out, and I was like just laying down some vocals, one night at an after party just for fun. And then he started showing me music he had made with AI, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I spent the $10 for a subscription to Suno, and right away started getting like pretty deep into it. At first it was just playing with the tools, like, oh, what can it do? Like what are its limitations? What's it gonna turn my ideas, thoughts, random sounds into, right? I think anyway, a musician sitting in front of a new musical toy is gonna be like, ooh, what can I make with this, right? And that's what I was doing. And at the time I didn't have a large body of relative writing, or that I wanted to use like as actual song material. So in the beginning it was just like little snippets of thoughts on the fly, riffs, improvs, record a couple, 15, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, upload it, and then play with what I would get back. And soon it became a daily motivation. I started to write every day. I started to think about musical structure in a much more organized songwriting fashion than I ever had in life before. And so this daily practice turned into something really beautiful, and I got stuck between this idea of like, this is me, and I'm pouring my traumas into what I'm writing. I'm talking about like the abuse from childhood, from the music industry, the educational music industry, to my time on the street, like both good and bad, like the fun nighttime adventures and the scary ones. And it is visceral, it's real, and I connect with it, and the people I was sharing it with were connecting with it, and I was stuck in between this idea that, is it real or not? Like I've already been living in a life full of imposter syndrome. It's like I always feel like I'm not good enough, or I don't belong in a space, but this has been like the most incredible like access to my voice as an artist, as a creator, that I've ever had. I've made a real body of music. I have an album. I haven't released it, a completed album, which I call a reference album, because though it's my music that I wrote, 100% my lyrics that I wrote, the production of these songs was polished using Suno, right? So I give it my rough draft, and it gives me back a reference final that sounds like I spent thousands of dollars in a studio with a real producer, something that a homeless person doesn't have access to, like, period. I got discovered while busking on Reddit by a member of AI Underground, and I was invited to join the Discord. And at first I was really skeptical. I thought I was getting fished, but I did anyway. I got fed up with the negativity on Reddit. So I went to this community and discovered that it was a real freaking place. They do these listening parties every day for radio submissions. So like you submit your song ahead of time, you go to these listening parties to reveal them, and they eventually, if selected, get put on the radio. And then after that like official party ends, there's the after parties where people just hang out and submit their tracks and everybody listens and hangs out. One, this is like a super positive environment, right? This is not a place where people are critiquing each other's music unless it's asked for. It's just a safe space to be a creator, to be heard, to be seen, and that's incredible. So I started during the record 185 hour long after party, which was just like walls and walls and walls of AI music. And up until this point, I have been like using AI to create music, but I have not been listening to anybody else's music, right? Because there's like, oh, everything out there is slop. Like what I'm doing is real. Like that was my silly brain stuff. But I quickly realized there are a lot of people, you know, obviously not the same story, but who are real creators leveraging the power of the tool to exponentially increase like their impact. And that is like, that's incredible, right? So like I was hooked pretty quick. And then it created this, even if it's not real, it's like the simulation of a music community that I've been longing for. I went headfirst into using AI as my collaborator to create the polished tracks, found this community, found a sense of belonging, felt heard and respected and valued as an artist. I'm like quickly rising in the ranks as far as like engagement goes. You know, it's not about popularity, it's just about like, I talk every day in the community. I reach out, you know, I submit my tracks to the LPs. I'm not fishing for promotional awareness. It's just like, hey, here's my music. Do you like it? Hope you like it. You know, in this positive space, and I'm getting great feedback. You know, I've made new friends. I'm in this music community. It's like, even if it's not leading to some career or something, it's simulating this experience that I've longed for my whole life. And in that simulation, like I'm healing and growing in a way as a person that I didn't know was possible, truly. And I mean that wholeheartedly, you know? So this to me isn't about AI replacing artists. This is about AI giving people without access, at least to me personally, an ability to use their voice for something meaningful, you know? And that to me is nothing short of a miracle. I am housed, I'm safe, secure, growing, you know, I've got a little life building. I found a piano on Craigslist. It's been with one owner since the 70s, and I got it for free. I didn't have any way to move it, so I reached out on Facebook through the Buy Nothing project, and within a day had a neighbor willing to drive me in his truck, help me pick up this piano and bring it to my apartment in Minneapolis. Got the piano in, I reached out, I wrote a letter to a local piano tuner explaining my story, and he graciously agreed to service it for free. You know, that's like been a lot. You know, beyond the AI stuff, like life has really been feeling like it's clicked into place. I didn't know what the future held, but somehow the daily gains led to like this built up momentum of stuff. So we wrote a track for a neighbor, a birthday gift for her daughter, you know, using information that she gave me about her kid and their relationship. And the track it hit for them. And that is a new friend now. It's someone that I hang out with several times a week. We, you know, and it's helping me now forge relationships in my community. The next person I wrote a song for was to help grieve the loss of a cat. And that like closed the loop for me too, because I had lost a cat 8 years ago and hadn't fully processed that. You know, honestly, one of the biggest losses of my life. And I was able to put, some closure to some like long held trauma that I wasn't processing, wasn't dealing with. Every bit of my story is real and true and honest and not always very pretty. And I think that's what matters. You know, I'm not creating slop. I am creating polished doodles. And so now, here we are. I'm trying to relearn all of this stuff that sounds like I'm a master because of the polish that Suno has given my ideas. So I'm relearning the music I've written so that I can perform it live. On the docket, I have a plan to audition for NPR's Tiny Desk series. They have a contest for amateurs running. The deadline is like the beginning of February. Coming up real quick, shoot. You know, so that's like my vision as my very next step, you know, showcasing what AI has done for me and tell a story about the difference between being unhoused and housed in the same neighborhood, what it feels like to be unwanted and unseen, to having neighbors greet you with a smile when you walk down the street, you know. And that's where we're at now. I'm sitting in the light and just wondering what's next. This process has saved my life.